Hello, in this video I shall be giving the analysis of a topic. The topic is Technology for Better Service Delivery in Digital Justice System. Now we have Digital Justice System working, that is online courts, a part of e-courts project in India. So how far technology works better in service delivery of this digital service system, digital justice system, we shall see. And recently there is a vision document, draft vision document released about the phase 3 of e-courts project, and phase 2 and phase 1 are already done and phase 3 of e-courts project is started. And this vision document has majorly technology in it as a main subject to intensify technology in e-courts. Now we shall analyze about all of this. Coming to Indian courts, we have not only the delivery of justice from Indian courts, but we have a huge play of delays and difficulties in sorting out the cases or in just doing away with the cases. Even small ordinary litigations are pending in the Indian courts. Some data we shall see on base of this. The Supreme Court in June 2020 released a data as a part of this newsletter to the E-Committee. As part of submitting newsletter, it gave some data. The data says that 3.27 crore cases are pending in India, out of which 85,000 cases are pending for a span of 30 years by now. So this is the pathetic situation the Indian courts are in while dealing with the cases and the pendency level of cases in India. And how far this technology revolution can help us in sorting out this problem, especially when we are running digital justice system. This will play well when only this technology works within some constitutional framework of protecting fundamental rights of the citizens. So this should be without exclusion, without inequity and without surveillance, which would cause problem to the privacy of the litigant. So all of this must be in mind while intensifying technology in Indian courts or in justice system in India. Now we shall see what is just about this e-court. So e-courts project is a mission mode project and it is monitored by E-Committee of Supreme Court. This comes in the wake of COVID-19 courts shutdown. As there cannot be physical working of the courts, e-court project is launched. Right now the Supreme Court and High Courts are running online through this e-courts project, and phase 1 and 2 are complete, but their work is incomplete. So what the vision of 1 and 2 phases of e-courts project is not totally complete, but that is to a major extent successful in just lower level courts. And coming to phase 1 and 2, the main agenda of these two phases earlier was digitization of judiciary. So this was the topic on which 1 and 2 phases were standing, like e-filing of cases and online tracking our case and uploading judgments online. So these things, digitization of all these things was its agenda. It was successful in lower levels, but it is not totally complete. And phase 3, the draft vision document of phase 3 says some interesting things. We shall see them. It majorly emphasizes on upgrading the electronic infrastructure of judiciary. So that is to intensify technology in e-courts. And this is going to enable good access to the lawyers and litigants. So the platform of e-courts. And some terms are given in this draft vision document of phase 3 e-courts project. So those terms are ecosystem approach, seamless exchange of information. So these are posing a lot of threat to a person's privacy. Ecosystem approach is to work with integration. So integration of different branches of courts, police system and prison systems. So integrating all of this will also mean integrating the data of the litigant or the case people involving in the case. So that is ecosystem approach, and seamless exchange of information is also one phrase written in this draft vision document, which means that the information about the case will go seamless to whatever level it has to go. So that is a threat to privacy. And all of this seamless exchange and ecosystem approach will be ensured by a new system that is termed in draft vision document as ICJS. So that will unify all the database about a case and all cases from all branches, and they will even be exchanged between the branches also. So this is the major contention or problem around which this phase 3 draft vision document is running. So we shall see what threats it could pose to one's privacy and drawbacks. So what is this ICJS system? The full form of it is Interoperable Criminal Justice System. So as I have told, it is about seamless exchange of information, seamless transfer. It is interoperable between courts, branches, police, prison systems and all. So that is ICJS. There is a major drawback in this, that is the data collected will be totally sent to the Home Ministry. So this has got no connection with the criminal law, but it will be stored by the Home Ministry, because one has to hold all the information to give them out to different branches and all. So that whole thing will be taken up by Home Ministry. And there will be more class and caste inequalities if this data is shared between different authorities. Because for example, we have Criminal Tribes Act 1871. This is a pre-colonial act that has come during that time. And this act would speak about these tribes as habitual offenders. So if more cases come out of a single tribal area, the whole community will be blamed. So this information should not be out. So that must be the perspective of present courts and present communities. So that will be good to the caste and class. But this kind of ICJS is going to increase this class and caste inequalities, as information is out to everybody and it is stored by the Home Ministry. So sharing and storing of data will be done under ICJS, which is a privacy violation to the public, to the litigant and every stakeholder involved in cases. And technology so far in this e-courts project is by phase 2 of e-courts launch, there came a software called NSTEP software. That means National Service and Tracking of Electronic Processes. So all processes will be tracked, and for that system or software is incorporated under phase 2. So this is to serve e-services of summons. To serve summons, the e-service software is NSTEP. So this is the technology so far. So in order to service summons, they must have this data collected. So this is also a violation to privacy. So all of this technology, ICJS of phase 3, technology of phase 2, NSTEP of phase 2, all of this is posing a lot of threat to public privacy violation. So that is a wrong thing. And the major concern is individual's identification will be out, that he belongs to a particular case and what all problems are with him. And there is no data protection regime in India. This is a major thing. So this is some drawback about technology in digital justice system so far. We shall see some particular dangers in phase 3 draft vision document. This is going to collect 360-degree approach of every person involved in cases. That is a bad thing, and that would lead to targeted surveillance of a particular area, community, class, caste or that person. And this, as it is getting online, this is shareable. This information is shareable with a single click, and the data is also getting centralized with that. So all local courts will have localized data, but this is going to get centralized as there is going to be sharing between branches. And Home Ministry is going to access to the court data through this, and Home Ministry has got no connection with criminal law, and this is questionable. And integration with agencies can be done by any mischief, and there will be appellate authorities to intersect the data, as all the data has to be held by a single authority before distributing it to branches and all. So all of that intersection of data will be done by higher judiciary places. So higher judiciary is the appellate authority, so that is also a danger. So what is the way forward to all this problem and insecurities? As it is still a draft, so we can also make some changes, like abandoning this ecosystem approach. We can also adopt some new objectives to e-court phase 3, that is like streamlining the processes, reducing pendency and helping the litigants with the present technology. Instead of intensifying the technology, they must at least know what is going on with e-courts and online. That many litigants don't have that knowledge. We must help them with this, and data must be localized in order to protect one's fundamental right of privacy. And separate branches must operate separately instead. There must not be seamless transfer of information between them. Finally, the last say is technology has good role in this digital justice system, but it cannot be an end in itself. So there has to be a lot of take-ups by the courts, by justice system, by everybody, by the ministries, in order to protect one's privacy. It is not an end in itself. The follow-up must happen. So this is some analysis about technology for better service delivery in digital justice system, and drawbacks, and how good we can go with way forward and all. Thank you.